Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are in attendance at the February 2015 Worldox Virtual User Group meeting from Attorney Computer Systems. And I'm laughing because I just realized that the only thing remaining on my screen that's not part of this PowerPoint slide set is that mysterious Worldox icon that nobody really knows what it's supposed to be. They call it the work zone, but really, what is that picture supposed to be? Today, we are going to talk about, what are we talking about? Managing passwords. Mary Jo's going to talk about the 3 passwords that you can set in Worldox, how to set them, what they mean, how they should be used. And I'm going to talk about something called hooks, which is a nerd term for how Worldox knows to pop up to save your documents. I guess it's a short way of saying that. But before we do that, a little bit of housekeeping. This is your go-to webinar control panel. And if you are still looking at this, it means you have not clicked this button that looks like an arrow pointing to the right. Because had you clicked that button that looks like an arrow pointing to the right, this would have slid off the right of your screen, and this would have changed into an arrow pointing to the left. Meaning that if you click it again, when it's looking like one that's pointing to the left, it will cause this to slide back onto your screen. And you would do that if you have a question, because questions get typed here, and as long as you remember to hit the send button, then Leanne, our humble and experienced moderator, will recognize that you have a question. She will interrupt Mary Jo or I at the very opportune moment, and she will ask your question on your behalf. Now, I know Mary Jo never does this, but I sometimes ramble and maybe occasionally get off track. And when I do, we want you to make sure that we are really answering the question you're asking. So if we get off track, if we're not headed in the right direction, or if you have follow-up questions, keep typing them here, keep remembering to hit send, and Leanne will keep interrupting us at that opportune time and continue to ask your questions for you. Now, if you're not feeling shy today, you can also press this button. Oops, it went away. Press this button, and I think it's changed in the newer interface. I think it's just a hand. But in any event, what it means is raise your hand. And same thing will happen. Leanne will recognize that you have a question. She will interrupt Mary Jo or I at the opportune time, but she will unmute your microphone and let you ask your own question. Now, that line of communication, that channel will remain open until we are done. So, A, feel free to interrupt us and keep us on track. B, feel free to interrupt us and ask those follow-up questions. And C, no Fritos, no Doritos until we're done and your mic is muted again and you can go on eating your salty afternoon snack. So with that said, I am going to press those magic buttons we've all come to know and love and leave Mary Jo right here so she can tell you about passwords.
Okay. I'm going to get rid of some of the stuff behind us here so we can just see our window there. So when we're setting up our passwords, there's 3 reasons that we would do that. First of all, and most importantly, we don't want users to be able to just exit out and close Worldox. Worldox is a closed document management system, meaning that anytime you save any document anywhere, it's going to prompt them to save it into Worldox. The whole point is to get everything into one place. And if users have that right to just close Worldox and not use it, it defeats the purpose. So we want to be able to set a password to prevent them from just Xing out of Worldox and closing it. The second thing that we want to do is be able to set a password so that they can't cancel Worldox. So the Worldox profile window pops up, and we don't want them to be able to right-click and cancel Worldox and override that save, and then in essence save to their desktop or somewhere else. Again, defeating the purpose of a closed document management system. And the last reason that we want to set a password is to restrict access to this back office. We don't want people to be able to come into WD admin and start making changes if they don't know what they're doing. Or if they do know what they're doing, make changes for accesses and things like that that they shouldn't have rights to do. So those are the 3 passwords that we like to set. Usually we'll have an administrator set that. And then that password is only given to certain people that you want to give those rights to. So where do we do that? We do that in WD admin. So you have to have rights, obviously, to get in here. Once you do, we're going to go to Edit, and we have a password section. It's got the little key there. So we click on that, and we have some different things here that we can do. So the first one that we will talk about is the closing Worldox. We said we don't want people to just be able to close Worldox. So if I click on that and I set, it's going to give me a place to put in a password and then to re-enter that password to prevent them from being able to close Worldox. Now, these passwords, it's going to be up to your firm. They could be the same for all three of these things, or it could be different for each different thing that's allowed to be able to be done. The other one is to cancel the Worldox on the open save as or on the copy move for the sent mail. Now, I said there was three. These are actually the same thing. It's canceling on that save. So there's technically 4 places that you can put that password. But again, it's to prevent the canceling of Worldox. What that means, when that profile window pops open, we can click up on the little blue bar, we can right-click that, and there is an option to cancel Worldox. And if people know that and they hit cancel, it'll take them right out of that window and take them to their directory to save. So we want to set passwords for that as well. So when we cancel an open save as, again, we're just going to set that password and re-enter it. Same thing when they're going to copy or move email. It's going to do the same thing, prompt them for that window, and again, they could cancel that. So again, we want to click on that one, and we want to set that password. And lastly, we want to give restricted access to that WD admin. We don't want people just being able to come back in here and be able to access this information and change things that they don't need to be changing. So again, another place to put a password. You can set that and re-enter it and say OK, and then you've got all of your passwords set, and these will actually change into a lock that is closed. Right now you can see it's opened, but that will change if you set a password in here. And I'll set one real quick for the cancel just so I can show you the difference here. And I'm going to re-enter the same password. And it will prompt you again. I don't think I've got that typed right because I can tell already that I've got too many letters there. It would tell me that they didn't match. So I must have this one wrong up here.
You did that on purpose.
I did. I wanted to see that it would tell me that. So if I say OK and they still don't match, I'm on a different keyboard here. I got to figure out. I'm not on my computer, so it's totally different. So let's make them match.
Okay, everybody. Quiet. We don't want to make her nervous.
No, it's okay. We want to make sure that we get this right. Okay.
Oh,
now, see, you know, it's adding something in there, and I didn't do that. Okay, anyway, here we go. So it's been updated, and if I say OK, you'll see that now it's just, I'm sorry, it's changed to a key. So now there is a password set up for the cancel the copy move sent email. So I will not be able to cancel that. It will just, you know, I can try, and it just will say that I don't have rights to do that.
Unless you know the password.
Unless you know the password.
Or are able to type it, I should say.
And then you also can change that. I mean, I can come in here and I can change that and get that password off of there. So if I want to set a password for this one, you know, we can take that out and say, okay, and we don't want a password. And see, I'm clearing it. I didn't type anything. I just left it blank. So, you know, if you do have a password and you want to change it and take it out, then you can do that, or you can change it. And now it's cleared and my lock is open again. So
why don't you show them the 2 places where that would come into play, the close Worldox down in the corner? And
sure. So if I wanted to, if I did not have a password and I just right-click on this and I hit this close Worldox, I can actually exit out because I have no password. And I can close it and it will be like Worldox isn't even open on my system, and I can save and it will never even prompt me. And sometimes, you know, users will do that if there isn't a password set, thinking, oh, I just want to close this right now. And then it never prompts them for anything, and you know, it's like it's just not even there, and that's bad. We want Worldox to pop every single time. The other place is if I had a document. Let me get into a Word document here real quick, and if I was going to save this, let's go in.
Well, now you have to tell them a lawyer joke because it's going to take 10 minutes.
No, I don't know any good lawyer jokes. That's your department. It takes a while for us to open Word here, huh?
First time of the day.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to do test, and I'm going to hit my save button up here. And when it prompts this window here, first I'll choose the client files here. This window right here, if I right-click in this blue bar, I have this ability to cancel Worldox. And when I cancel Worldox, it's going to, and I'll do it here because I don't have a password, it will then take me to my regular Windows directory where I could save outside of Worldox. And again, I don't want that. I don't want users to have that ability to do it. So setting these passwords is really important to keep the function of Worldox how it should be. And then, of course, the locking out of admin. We don't want people in the back office where they don't belong. So that is where you go and how to set up passwords. Paul?
Very good. Well, I'm going to talk about how Worldox knows what it should be looking for a save from. So if we, for instance, Mary Jo just went into Word and she typed some text and she went to save the document, and Worldox popped up and said, I'll put that away for you. Don't worry about it. Just tell me the client matter and maybe the doc type, and we'll be on our way. We call that Worldox popping, and we call the act of Worldox superseding. We call that hooking. It's hooking into the program. It's hooking into the file save functionality of that program. Now, I will tell you that in the olden days, this was really hard to do because you had to go edit this funky file and put these weird commands in, and you still can do that if what you find is not here. But I'm going to go into Worldox, or WD admin, the Worldox admin program, and I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to go to integration. And what they've done is they've taken the most common programs and added them to this little box here where you can select what you want to integrate with. So if you have Adobe, but you don't have Adobe 10, we could turn off the integration simply by unchecking. Now you'll notice there are, what, 6, 7 different things, because there are 7 different things that you can do in Adobe 10 that you may want to hook into. So you may find when you're turning on and off this integration for Adobe, for instance, that you do still want it to, you want Worldox to pop when you're saving a PDF, but not when you're importing pages. Maybe you're going to import those from a disk. So you have kind of not only a pick and choose of what you integrate with, but also what functionality within that program you integrate with. Now I'm going to go real quick and turn back on my Adobe 10 integration, and then we're going to go down and look at some of the other things that you can find here.
Hey, Paul, while you're turning that back on, I just want to make a quick note to them. You know, this isn't user-specific. So just because you don't have 10 doesn't mean somebody else in your office might not be using 10. So be real careful with that.
Yes. Unlike some of the other preferences that you can set both here or in Worldox directly, where setting them in Worldox directly is just for that user, whereas setting them here is for everybody, these can only be set here. So these are going to affect everybody. So if you turn off the integration, as Mary Jo said, for Adobe 10, you are turning it off for everyone. Now let's scroll down and just look at some of the things. We've got Word. We've got Word XP. Oh, that's an old version. Word 2010, Word 2007. I'm sure that Word 2003 is in here. We might even have some older versions of Word. I guess Word XP is older than 2003. We've got Word Perfect. We've got the last 3 versions, 4 or 5 versions, and we're looking at, we're not on the absolute latest version of, and I think there's actually a Word Perfect 17, and I'm sure that the hook files are there for that. So most often, if it's a mainstream program like Word or Word Perfect or Excel or Adobe or certain other things, you're going to find them right here. Now the other thing I want to point out is if they're not right here, there is still the ability to have it pop. The thing about Worldox is it theoretically can pop for anything. If you've got some obscure JPEG editing software that you use to organize trial presentation graphics called Bob's JPEG Deluxe, for instance, maybe Worldox has never heard of it. Mary Jo's laughing at my name. She thinks I'm funny. I know you guys don't, but she does. Bob's JPEG Deluxe is your editing software for JPEGs. Maybe the people at Worldox have never heard of it, but even if they haven't, they can find out how to hook into it, and they can put the proper hook file, the proper hook commands into this special file that's buried deep in the file structure of Worldox. So no matter what program it is, If Worldox isn't popping, here's your first place to look, because if it's Word or Excel or Outlook, this is the place to turn on that integration. If it's something that's not on that list, you need to get somebody involved, either Worldox support or more than likely your reseller, more than likely us, and we can connect and we can either find the existing hook commands that we need to put in that special file, or we can work with a Worldox tech support specialist who will actually write a hook for it. So that's our definition. Here's where you go. It's edit integration from WD-admin, and that's where you're going to find the most commonly supported programs. Then there's the other programs that aren't quite as common, that aren't going to show up on this list, that we can still put into the INI files. And then last but not least, even if it's something that nobody's ever heard of, and we all know that everyone's heard of Bob's JPEG Deluxe, but if it's something that no one's ever heard of and that there is no hook integration for currently, that doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means hooks have to be written.
And just on another thing, Worldox, it's meant to pop on every single thing. And if you've got something that's not popping, then there's an issue. We want that to pop. Every single thing that you save should pop Worldox. So if it's not, you need to let us know.
Now, there are a few strange, well, not strange, there are a few minor exceptions to that. For instance, some firms will scan to a certain directory, and they don't want those scans to go into Worldox. They want them to just simply be printed, or there are a few minor exceptions to when you wouldn't want Worldox to hook, but somebody would have configured it not to hook. Okay, so this is how you control it. This is how you get it taken care of. If it's not here, you're going to need to talk to somebody who's able to edit those files and maybe even write a new set of commands to hook to some special program. So that said, next month we're going to talk about user management, what to do when somebody leaves or gets married, or you have a new employee, how to set them up, how to change things. Mary Jo's going to cover that topic, and I'm going to talk about doc types, which I wrote in such a way that I almost didn't know what I was talking about. Doc types, how to manage them, how to edit the list, how to restrict what users have access to editing and which ones can add doc types. Very important. You don't want everybody adding doc types, at least you usually don't. So those are our topics for next month. And last but not least, I want to take you to www.attorneycomputersystems.com with an emphasis on that last S before the .com, and show you that if you look at our video section, you will be able to see a section for every VUG, every virtual user group meeting that we have, the tabs in Practice Master and the one you're listening to right now, Worldox. We also, by the way, have our Coffee Pot webinars. That's my monthly webinar series on new things or add-on products that you can get to enhance Worldox or Practice Master or tabs. Mary Jo's eBytes video series, which are very short and succinct videos on a very specific feature or function, and our more expanded Paul and Mary Jo show, where Mary Jo or I will take a very broad topic and really dig deep into it. If you go, for instance, to the Worldox virtual user group meeting, you should see registration information for the next session, which is March, which I just described the topics for. You should see down below that recorded versions of every other past video, past virtual user group meeting. Now this one is the one that we're currently in, so although it says currently in post-production, we're not even there yet. In about 37 seconds, when I hang up the phone and close the meeting, we will be in post-production, and about 2 or 3 days later, maybe as long as a week, this will show up. But then once it's there, and so all the videos for all the Worldox virtual user group meetings that we ever recorded, which I think is every Worldox virtual user group meeting that we ever had. You can search for things real easily. So for instance, if I type user and hit enter, I will get, well, there you go. Learn how to manage passwords in Worldox was the first one that came up there. Oh, we also get virtual user group meetings. Let's type instead password. And learn how to manage passwords in Worldox. So this functionality is new. This website is new. The way we've got the videos organized is new, but especially this new search functionality. Lots of video content. Lots of ways to get to exactly what you're looking for, so please take advantage of it and enjoy. Everybody have a good rest of the afternoon and a good rest of the month, and we will see you in March. Bye-bye.